Hi and welcome. Thank you for sticking with us as we work through our technical difficulties getting up and running. I see now that folks can hear me, so wonderful. My name is Dr. Heather Chrisman. I am the Director of Partnerships and Innovation here at the Miami University Center for Career Exploration and Success. I'm excited to have all of you join me today as we work through talking about what you can expect from our office, what you can expect from the Miami University career community, and how your students can better explore careers and make use of what we have here on campus throughout their student experience. I have exciting news to share with everyone. We got our recent graduate survey back, and last year's results were that 96.6% of all students who graduated from Miami University were employed or in graduate school shortly after graduating. So those are great statistics. We're very proud of them, and we know that embedded in that almost 4% are some students who choose not to enter the job market, so it's even better. The other exciting thing that I want to share with you is that regardless of what college your students are in, our students are equally gainfully employed. And so you'll see the College of Arts and Science, the College of Creative Arts, Education, Health and Society, College of Engineering and Computing, and the Farmer School of Business all have fairly similar rates in terms of success by division and students being able to successfully get jobs upon graduating. We are excited about these numbers because to us it means students can pursue a variety of career paths regardless as to what it is they major in. And one of the things that we continuously talk to students about is if you follow something or you study something that you enjoy studying and at the same time you're also preparing for a career by working through different skills that you need to be building and thinking about what kinds of student activity organizations and or opportunities you can take advantage of here on campus and in your summers away. Oh, I can hear, but I can still see the cover slide, so we're going to move through that. Let's see. Apologize for our technical difficulties here. There we go. Can folks see that now? Okay, here we are. Okay, these are our graduate stats. Sorry, Margaret and I are working through two different PowerPoint slides, so we're getting two computers up and running. So the great news to us is that students really can study a variety of things here at Miami University, and what we hear time and again from employers is that our students, regardless as to what they study, are well prepared in terms of their ability to write, communicate, and study and think critically in their jobs. This is exciting news to us because as a liberal arts education, the core of what we do through the Miami plan is designed to ensure that students have those abilities when they graduate, and our employers are in fact saying that they are seeing it. The other exciting news is that 55.8% of our Oxford bachelor's degree recipients received more than one job offer. So students are also they've got choices. And again, we talk to students all the time, and part of why we're so excited that you all are on this webinar today is that we remind students they need to be thinking about these things from the onset and how they can intentionally design a college experience to take advantage of all we have to offer here so that it best prepares them to enter the job market when they graduate. This is just a quick slide showing you some of what salaries graduates are earning. Obviously, those who are in the top bracket of earners tend to be in more technical degrees, but we see a very successful, we see great job salaries when students graduate. So Miami's career community is something that we see as being very unique to what we offer here. The career community really isn't about the Center for Career Exploration and Success, but it's about the entire campus and the way that the entire campus works together to ensure students' career development is on track. As a part of the career community here, we see all of our stakeholders playing a role. We know that our staff on campus, the faculty, parents, employers, alumni, all play a role in shaping how students view careers, the ways in which they think about what it is they're going to do next, and the ways in which they're able to communicate effectively what they've learned throughout their experiences. So you'll see we've got the student at the center of this career community and all of the stakeholders that surround it. And in between, what we have are the things that we like to see the career community facilitate for students. So that's helping them gain experiences, whether it's opening doors or coaching them into certain experiences. That's providing opportunities for students. That's reflecting, helping students to reflect on what they gain from those experiences and what they gain from those opportunities, and then helping them build connections. So we know that part of what's important about getting a job and being ready to have a job or an internship is your ability to connect with people and network and learn more about what it is you're interested in doing and where you might go. We also know that gaining experience is critical, and the process of reflection is so key. One of the things that we don't want to see is a student who checks a lot of boxes throughout college, just joins a bunch of organizations, has a summer internship, does a bunch of jobs, and at the end of it can't make sense of any of what they've learned or what they liked or didn't like about those opportunities. So, for instance, we want to make sure that if a student has an internship or a job that she doesn't necessarily care for, that she's thinking through what it was she didn't care for about it and why. Was it the environment? Was it the actual work that she was doing? Was it that she didn't like that it was fast-paced or slow-paced? And so we really look for our career community to help students process and make meaning of the experiences they have in a way that is helpful to them as they look to their full-time employment. Because to us, one of the things that's so important about college is it's a way to explore what kinds of things you enjoy so that you don't have to start a job and then 5 years in say, holy cow, I never wanted to be in human resources. Actually, what I'm most passionate about is, being a design engineer, and have to go back and re-engineer a learning experience to get there. And we see that the more that students are able to make meaning of the experiences they have on campus and off during college, and think about how those experiences parlay into a career that they might pursue or a corporation or an organization that they might work for, they're able to make better choices moving out of college. So some of the trends that we're seeing in career development here at Miami and nationally are that we really need to be engaging students early and often in career development. And so that means starting to think about career development, and that's not to say that students need to know what career they're choosing in their first year, but they need to be starting to engage in the process of learning what it is they enjoy, don't enjoy, learning about what kinds of career options are out there. Often we'll see students come into college and say, I want to be an X. And that's all I've ever wanted to be, and it's all I want to think about. But when we dig a little deeper, they're not really sure why, or they haven't really thought through what it means to actually be in that career. It's just something someone told them they would be good at, or they've seen their parents or a friend do. And so we really look to have students think critically, not that that isn't the career for that student, but why that's the career for that student, so that they're making an informed decision. And so we talk to students about leveraging college to explore various career paths. So whether that's networking with Miami alumni who come back to campus, or attending panels or career exploration events where we've got folks from different industries coming in, or whether that's, meeting with or talking to a career coach here. All of those things are really important parts of helping students start to discern or differentiate between different experiences, and thinking through, if you're interested in being a financial analyst, what is it about that you like? Are there other careers that you might be able to leverage those interests or skills in? And where might you meet people who can help you think about what that career looks like? Doing that not only helps inform the student as to what it is they might like doing, but it also helps to provide them a language that will be useful to them as they start to meet with various employers who can help them think through or can provide opportunities to them. So that goes into this practicing how to articulate the value of learning. And we know that students, and you saw those great employment rates across all academic divisions here, sometimes there are majors that don't as directly translate into a degree. We know that accounting majors are often going to be accountants. But when you think about a history major, they're not all going to be historians. And so how do we help students articulate what skills they're learning in that academic preparation program in a way that then translates to what employers are looking for? And I don't have it on this slide, but one of the things we really work closely with students on is that the National Association of Colleges and Employers does an annual survey of employers to find out what skills they're looking for in new graduates. And oftentimes the list that's provided includes things like ability to work on a team, ability to think critically, ability to analyze data, ability to communicate effectively. And so all of those things are things that we know our students in any degree program here are learning, and it's a matter of us helping them learn how to articulate the ways in which their experiences in their education prepare them to do those things so that employers can then understand why it is they should get hired. And so one of the things to think about when you're talking to your student is not necessarily, hey, you have to major in this or you'll never get a job in this, but rather, what is it that you might learn in this degree program that folks may value after you leave here? And how would you talk to someone about that? So as we talk a little bit more, think a little bit more about this and jobs and internships, one of the things that I like to talk to parents about is what to expect out of this process. And I can say this because we have a lot of students that come into our office that is now located at the center of campus. We are in the new phase or the new wing of the Armstrong Student Center, and we're on the ground floor. And good news for all of you, we've seen a flood of students show up this fall that we have not seen in the past. So hopefully that central location is driving some of your students to us in ways they hadn't before. But what we like to talk to parents about is thinking through how you can be supportive of your student in this process. We get a lot of students that come in and they're really stressed out because they feel like they're letting someone down if they're a first-year student and they haven't already figured out what their internship's going to be, or they're sophomore and they haven't figured out what their internship's going to be. And I think it's interesting the amount of stress that they take because they feel like their parents are worried. I think our parents get stressed too about the students being well prepared to get into an internship. So what we talk to students about is not necessarily that every student has to have an internship, but that every student needs to be thinking through what would meaningful summer employment look like. So if you're not in a formal internship program, how can you leverage that job as a host at a restaurant when you go to get full-time employment? How can you think about what skills you might gain through running a summer camp in a way that then could be translated to perhaps a career in management or a career in education or a career in human resources? And so really helping students think not necessarily that they have to have the internship or they'll never get a job, but what can we do with your summer that will help build skill sets that you don't currently have that then would be valuable to an employer? And we've talked to a number of employers, and the interesting thing is many of them are not so concerned with whether or not a student had a specific internship, though we do see internships becoming a pipeline for many of the full-time positions, but that students are able to say, hey, here are the 4 things that I did when I was in college, and this is why it matters, and this is how I can add value to your organization. And so providing space for your student to get that kind of thinking or to do that kind of thinking is really critical to getting the outcomes that I know you're all looking for. That said, we do work very closely with students to try to open doors for internship programs. And again, the typical timeline for that, just so folks know, is that our students are generally getting internships after their junior year unless they're in in-demand fields. And when we talk about in-demand fields, it's analytics, it's technology, it's accounting, some of them are in finance, but generally speaking, internships don't take place until after junior year, sophomore year at the earliest, because of the fact that students haven't had enough coursework to then go and add value to an organization at that point. Something else to think about with students is talking to them about how they might do internships or volunteer work that can provide really great skill sets for them as well. Our fall cycle, and we'll talk a little bit more about the events that we have coming up, is typically when a lot of the in-demand recruiting takes place for both internships and full-time jobs. So again, technology, analytics, finance, accounting, a lot of those in-demand areas are our fall recruiting cycle, and we'll see a lot of them at our fall career fair. The spring cycle tends to be a little bit more geared at like things that are more creative, maybe more sales-based, thinking through some of the things that are government-related. And again, the interesting thing is we have two fairs here. We have a fall career fair and a spring career fair. We also know a lot of students find jobs outside of those time frames because the way that recruiting cycles work is so different based on industry. So a lot of our large organizations know ahead of time, they can predict that they're going to have 6 openings or 10 openings, and they're going to fill those. But smaller organizations and or organizations where turnover isn't as predictable, they tend to be on a more year-round recruiting cycle. And so some of our students who are looking at those jobs or in those industries will oftentimes find jobs in the spring or internships in the spring and or the summer after they graduate. So it really is an individualized process and not a one-shoe-fits-all. And I think the interesting thing is I had a student in my office last week, and she was in panic because both of her parents worked for big companies, and they wanted her to work for a big company, and they were sure that she had to have a job, and she felt like all the students that she was friends with had jobs already. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, it's September and you've been back for a week. I guarantee you that it probably just feels like everybody has a job. And so there's a lot of pressure here, and I think it's important to note for all the parents and to recognize that students put a lot of pressure on themselves because they look at 2 or 3 of their peers who have jobs because of a summer internship, and they already know what they're doing when they graduate, and they think it's everybody. And I think it's important to remind them that they need to be proactive in making sure that they're getting their ducks in a row to get ready to do the job search, but that it isn't everybody, and that they do have time, and that they need to be thoughtful about their search and be checking, but that they shouldn't feel like they're a failure if they haven't secured something at this point. I think that's one of the things that we've got to keep top of mind as we're talking to our students, because it is not, the job and internship search is not for the faint of heart. And we often talk here, I think sometimes it feels like there are people, students who fall into their positions because they just get them very quickly. But what students don't see is that there are many of their peers who spend 6 to 8 weeks to months combing job sites and applying to jobs and getting rejections. And that's probably more the rule than the exception. And so obviously just continue to keep helping your students process that, and know that you can refer them to us, and we're happy to talk them through that. And we certainly have resources, and we'll do everything we can to get them connected in ways that are going to find them the right opportunity. And clearly our results show that is working, in the sense that we've got students who are gainfully employed, and many of them are doing quite well. So other ways to explore careers is to really think through early and often these ways that you can be figuring out what you want to do. And so whether your student's a first-year student or a junior or a senior, there's still time to explore careers that they may not have considered. Our office runs a series of Career Leap programs. These are to help students, particularly in some of the arts, humanities, social science degrees, think about how they translate their experiences and pursue different opportunities. And so every year we go to different sites. This year we had a pre-fall one. So the last week before classes started, we did a boot camp here on campus, and then took students into Cincinnati to tour different organizations, both for-profit and not-profit. Over the winter term, we're going to be sending students, or we're going to have programs both in San Francisco and in Washington, D.C. These will be 3-day programs. Students will, in advance of doing these programs, have to complete online modules to ensure that they have their resume ready, their LinkedIn profile ready, and that they feel generally prepared for networking and to be a part of the Miami crew going into these cities. And then they'll spend the 3 days on site actually touring different companies, nonprofits, government agencies, and learning from Miami alumni in those spaces what their experience is like, see how different organizations function in different kinds of contexts. And we find that our students think these are tremendously valuable. Again, these are the two this winter term are going to be going to San Francisco and DC. We do not provide housing, so students are responsible for arranging their own transportation to these cities and their own housing. It's meant to really draw people from the area, but we certainly, if students do want to come from other areas, they can make arrangements to do that, and then meet up at the site where we all are convening that day. The other one is we've got job shadow days that are going. Students can look in Handshake. Handshake is our basically our CRM, or our portal where all the jobs and internships are placed and where we communicate with employers. And those will be available in Handshake that students can look for. Companies also host a ton of information sessions on campus. They come and they want students to learn about what their organizations are all about and what it is they do. And students can attend those as well. Those are also available in Handshake, the portal that we house all of this in. And then finally, we offer about 7 career exploration panels a year, 5, I'm sorry. And the idea being that these are tailored to a different industry, so students can explore what various industries exist. So whether that's this year, we're going to have an NGO one. We've done ones on careers in human resources or careers in government, careers in healthcare industry. And so what we do is we bring back a series of Miami alumni from different majors, and we talk to them more about, we have them talk to the students about what their experiences have been like, and it's a way for students to explore both different functional areas and different industries. And so we may have one on careers in healthcare, and we might have somebody from human resources or somebody from finance or somebody who's working in patient care, all of those things, so that students get a feel for it. Another great way for our students to explore careers is for them to follow us on Snapchat. You also can look at this. We also have a Snapchat YouTube channel that's available to explore through our career development or our Career Center website. But basically, for those of you who aren't familiar with Snapchat, it's a way that we turn over the camera to students who are in different internship opportunities during the summer, and they catalog their day. It's like a day in the life. And so they showcase what it is they are doing, how many different places they go, what the city's like they're in, what the workspace is like, what kinds of things they do during the day. And then during the school year, we turn it over to employers to showcase what opportunities they have. So plugging into this and watching it is a great way for your students to get a feel for different industries and different opportunities. Also central to this is that we do record these and save them to YouTube, and that's where this Snapchat YouTube channel comes from. So students could go back and look at the history of the 50, 60, 70 students who have done them over the last couple of years and learn more about opportunities that way. Another thing that we do here that is really important is we help students get prepared for the job search and the internship process, so they can explore careers with us and they can also prepare for them. We require that students who are interested in interviewing for positions on campus complete a basic interviewing skills workshop. Even if they're not going to interview for jobs on campus, they can complete this as well. It gives tips for how to prepare for interviews and how to think about what questions you might be asked and what kind of preparation you need in order to be ready. We also have LinkedIn and resume reviews. Our career assistants here in the center are available in the afternoons, and students can just pop in and drop in and get their resume or their LinkedIn profile reviewed. We say these days it's just as important for a student to have a good LinkedIn profile as it is for him or her to have a good resume. Your LinkedIn profile is often the second thing that recruiters see of you after looking at your resume, or it's a good way for you to be spotted by a recruiter who's looking for something that a student might have. We also offer a mock interview program that's extremely robust. Students can log into Handshake. Again, everything we do is through the Handshake portal, and sign up for a mock interview. Our mock interviews are 30-minute interviews that are recorded, and the mock interviewer then plays it back for the student, and the two of them look at it, and the mock interviewer provides critical feedback for the student so that when the student goes to interview, he or she will be best prepared. And then, having students attend career fairs and networking events. If your student's a first, second year, or any year really, they can stop by if they're looking to see what career fair is all about before they need it for a job search or an internship search. They can stop by, and we have a table that will take students on tours of the event, and that way they're able to get a feel for what's the flow of this event, what are some of the things that I need to know going in. And that can often help students. Our career fairs draw over 280 employers, and so it ends up being a very intimidating event for some students if they haven't thought through or aren't prepared for it. And even the students that we think would be the best prepared and most apt to walk in and be like, I have this, will tell us at times that they're intimidated by the process. So it's important for students to feel comfortable, and part of what we're trying to do is create a space in which they can see it in advance of the event taking place. just some things for you to sort of chew on. We last year, so our last fiscal year ran July 2016 to June 30th of 2017. We had 540 organizations recruiting at various career fair events. So we've got a teacher job fair, a fall career fair, spring career fair, and then a number of networking expos that we offer that aren't necessarily job fairs, but they're a way for students to explore different opportunities. And they were on campus. We saw a 5% increase last year in our job or internship postings, and 54% of our employers were national or out of state as compared with 46 that were in state. So we also get a lot of questions as to, are there jobs for me? We see a lot of national companies recruiting here. So some events coming up this fall. We have a multicultural networking event on Monday, September 11th for our students of color. And that is something that is student sponsored. So a student group is actually spearheading that. We have a fall career fair on September 13th. We have a sports networking expo scene coming up October 20th. That's going to be a lot of different opportunities within the sporting industry. Folks that are coming to campus to network with our students. And then we're going to have ongoing on-campus interviewing. So last year, we had thousands of interviews conducted here on campus. A number of our employers come to campus to physically interview students in our center. Your students should be checking Handshake to see who's coming to campus for internship and job search interviews, and they can apply directly through our Handshake website for those opportunities and see what the qualifications are and whatnot, and then they'll be able to just come into the center for those interviews. So steps your student can take today. He or she can have a resume reviewed by a career assistant, as I said, in our space, and get them to sign up for a mock interview. They can make an appointment with a career coach. We have a career coaching team. Each of our colleges has a career coach or a dedicated liaison who knows specifically what students are learning in those areas and how they might parlay those to employers. They're also very adept at understanding what kinds of opportunities are available to students with the various careers, and can coach students on how to network, how to think about building an informational interview lineup, how to best prepare for thinking through an interview, all of those things. And then, looking at our website, students can check out our website or their Handshake portal to see what our programs are and stop into them. We actually bring back hundreds of alumni every year to talk to students about careers. And we've heard time and again from students that those are some of the most meaningful things that they do because it helps them really understand what they might be able to do later on. And then another one that I'll talk about in a minute is personalizing their Career Center newsletter, and then again, logging into Handshake. So each of your students receive the Career Center email, and they have the opportunity to personalize those emails. So we are working with a company called Circle. It's a startup tech firm out of Cincinnati, and what Circle does is they personalize content based on what your students' interests are. So back in the day, we used to send students batches of emails, and those emails would be based on what their major was. But we're seeing so many adjacencies in terms of employers willing to reach across major lines to hire students that are talented and that have what they're looking for, regardless as to what they're studying, that was no longer an effective way of doing things. And so we are working with Circle. Again, it's been a great fit for us. And what we do is we put content, jobs, all of that from Handshake, from what we learn here, into our content queue. And then based on what students' interests are and what they click on, the students get personalized opportunities and content that will help them get ready for what it is they need to be preparing for related to their career search. So we've got tips there. You can visit your student can visit www.circle.com, log in with the school email address and say forgot password, and then follow instructions to activate their account and customize interests. If they do not do this, they're still receiving a newsletter. It's just not as customized until they start clicking on things and working through them. We upload on there, again, professional development articles, programs, workshops. We're also going to be sending out information on who's coming to campus to interview, so students are more aware of that. And it is a very quick read newsletter. Students can click on what's of interest to them. So again, it's a really great strategy for doing that. And we have heard feedback from students that when they do this, that they really appreciate it. And then this is what Handshake looks like. So you'll see joinhandshake.com. Students can log in, upload a resume. That's a really important thing. If they upload their resume and make it viewable by employers, our employers can see what it is students bring to the table and be able to reach out to them through this. It's also where all of our events are listed, in addition to our website, all the job and internship opportunities, all of the employer information sessions. So it's really critical that your student log into Handshake and update his or her profile. And then as a parent, how can you help? So obviously we've talked a little bit about how you can support your student. Ask questions like, what do you enjoy about what you're doing at X organization or job? Encourage them to informationally interview. If you don't have people for your student to informational interview with, you can send them to us. Our office can help them get into the Miami network and start to think about who they can reach out to when they're home over breaks. I met with a lot of students last year who said, I don't have anyone to talk to over break, or I don't have a job or internship, or I want something to do over the winter term. And I said, let's make a list of people that you can just start cold call reaching out to via LinkedIn. So it's not a call, but cold emailing, and say, hey, would you be willing to grab coffee with me? And so we coach them through that process to make the most of their winter term and summers. And then encourage them to connect with the Career Center through events or coaching. To us, it's not a problem, but it's also, to the students not as advantaged if they wait until their senior year to show up here. Certainly getting familiar with our center and understanding what opportunities they have through our center is really critical. And then more than anything, and I know all parents ever want to do as a parent myself, is be supportive of their children. And I think sometimes we forget that that in putting pressure on them to do things, or they put enough pressure on themselves, and we need to be mindful of that and just support them by asking some questions of them that can help move them in the direction, and or if they won't listen to you, send them our way, and hopefully they will listen to someone here. So, and then again, how else can you help? One of the things that we ask as a part of our career community is that if you have opportunities to hire recent graduates, we ask that you hire Miami OH. So we would love to have you hire our Miami students for internships or job opportunities. We've had a number of parents be very helpful to us in this realm and opening up doors to their organization. And so we would ask that if you have positions to fill, please reach out to Corey Watt, who's our Assistant Director for Employer Relations, and he will help you get jobs posted and make sure that your organization is getting what it needs from Miami. And so we really appreciate that, and any efforts that you can provide there to expand our opportunities for Miami students. And then I will open the floor for any questions. Oh, somebody asked. Okay, I've got one. So what is the Snapchat handle? It is, oh, that's a good question. Let me pull it. I think it's Miami OH Careers. Let me look at my cell phone. I should have had that one ready. I'll pull that up for you guys. I have another question. It's Miami OH Careers is the Snapchat handle. When do they go to San Francisco and DC during the 3-week winter term? That is a great question as well. That should be in our program guide on our website. I will pull it up. What else do we have in questions, Mark? Are there any others? Okay. So the winter term experiential learning opportunities, we will be in Washington, D.C., January 10th through the 12th. We will be in San Francisco, January 8th through the 10th. We will be we'll be doing a job shadow day on January 23rd in Columbus and Cincinnati. And then we're doing a day dive into the Cincinnati startup community. There are a lot of incredibly amazing opportunities there. And we've seen a lot of students get jobs through that tech digital space in Cincinnati. And that is Friday, January 26th. That'll be a one-day program in Cincinnati on that Friday where students can learn about the startup ecosystem, all the opportunities available, and talk to alumni currently working in that space. So we got a question, do you offer something like this for students? That's a great question. We offer a lot of different things for students by way of career exploration. There's going to be a career exploration webinar taking place every month this year so that students can understand a little bit more about what opportunities they have to explore careers. But if you believe this is something that would be helpful as an overview for students, we would absolutely be willing to push it out. So I think that's a great opportunity and a great idea. What is the name of our department again? We are the Center for Career Exploration and Success. Should students just stop by the center? Students can absolutely just stop by the center now that we are centrally located. We have students dropping in all the time. They can come to the front desk. They just head downstairs from the coffee shop upstairs, and we will be here. We've got a receptionist that can help, and then we've got, again, career assistants that are available. If they want to meet with one of our full-time staff members, they make appointments through Handshake, and they'll be able to just log in and do that. Are there opportunities for internships during the school year? You know, there are some opportunities for internships during the school year, but not a ton. A lot of those will be on-campus internships or in the city of Cincinnati. Because we're not a big co-op school, we don't get a lot of internship postings for the school year, but it doesn't mean they can't check. Those will all be posted in Handshake as well. What is appropriate attire for the Fall Career Fair coming up next week? Also, does FSB have its own career services department? If so, does it offer all that your office does? We are actually the central career services career center for campus. The Farmer School of Business has its own office. However, they do not offer the programming that we offer. All of the employers that come to campus come through our office. Farmer does not do its own employer processes. And so they have advising staff there that can do career advising for students. They are also available through Handshake, and all of the students go to our program. So really what FSB offers is a little bit more in terms of what they do in the classroom and then their advising staff. And they support some of our centralized functions in terms of getting more employers here. But students in FSB also use the Central Career Services office as well. Appropriate attire for Fall Career Fair coming up next week. I think for students who are not job searching that just want to go get a feel for it, they can just sort of dress business casually or however they prefer. But for our students who are job searching, they're typically wearing suits. So men are wearing suits, women are wearing dresses with jackets or dresses with slacks. I'm sorry, or jacket with slacks. My son is a sophomore. Is it too early to be encouraging him to start this process? Absolutely not. I think it's actually a sophomore year is a great time for students to just start thinking about, like, what do I like about this? What do I not like? Getting connected with our different career exploration panels and seeing what opportunities are available. I think the Career Leap programs are great for students at any point in their college career. I think the earlier students start thinking about these things, it's really much to their advantage. Is the main objective of Fall Career Fair internships? The main objective of Fall Career Fair is everything, so internships and full-time jobs. And then in the spring, there's a bigger push for internships, but some of that's blended over the last couple of years, and it's become both internship and full-time jobs, just depending on who's there. So certainly I would say, depending on where a student is at, that just going is a good idea. I think one of the other things to keep in mind, I think sometimes students become disenfranchised because they don't see 40 organizations recruiting for exactly what they want to be doing. You know, again, the idea is, and we'll hear from students, I don't want to go to career fair, it's just for business students. It's not just for business students, but by and large, there are a lot of businesses that attend because those are the organizations that have the resources to send people to campus and who know ahead of time what they're going to have open in terms of openings. That's not to say everyone that attends or every organization that attends is a business, but if your student, you hear your student say they don't have anything for me, it's just for business, that is definitely a myth that we would love to debunk. I think the largest number of places recruiting right now are businesses, but that makes it even more critical that students are constantly logging into Handshake to check opportunities because we know there are a lot of non-business opportunities that post there. It's just that they can't log in once, and if they don't see what they're looking for, never log in again. It needs to be a weekly check-in process, I think, to see. And, you know, there may not be 100 opportunities for them at that one moment, but certainly meeting with our coaching staff here can help them identify ways that you'll network in. And if they're looking for a very targeted opportunity, again, that's going to be more of a how do we create a strategy for you to network into this opportunity rather than just sitting back and hoping something posts to the website. Let's see. Is it sophomore finance major? What should they expect from career fair? I would expect to talk to some companies and just see who's hiring and what's available. Students can look in Handshake to see who's coming and what they're hiring for. I think finance majors may be able to find opportunities as a sophomore. They definitely will find them as a junior. But certainly, I think the summer between sophomore and junior year for some finance majors is a great time for an internship. But if they don't get one, it's not the end of the world. They still have plenty of opportunities, you know, coming down the pike thereafter. Other questions? So fall career fair isn't the actual interview, correct? That is correct. So fall career fair is really kind of a meet and greet or a way to network. Some of our employers will gather resumes there, and the day after fall career fair, so September 14th, we actually go back to Millett Hall, and last year about 60 employers stayed, and they did interviews on site the day after career fair. So they'll collect resumes at career fair and then let students know, hey, I'm going to call you. I'd like to talk to you tomorrow. Can you sign up for a slot? And so some students should be prepared that they might have the first round interview the next day. Other companies or organizations won't do them. A lot of them, actually, the majority of them don't do next day interviews, and they will contact students later if they're interested to do a first round interview, and a lot of those will then come back to the center and do interviews here throughout the fall semester. I haven't heard much about political science majors. What are your suggestions? Sure, we work actually really closely with the political science department. It depends on what political science majors are interested in doing. So if a political science major is interested in working for an NGO or a nonprofit or for the government, there are a lot of opportunities available there. There are a lot of great programs that run both through the Department of Political Science, but then also through our office. So one of the things that we talk to students about is what can you do with that political science major and what is it that you're interested in pursuing. We have a ton of Miami alumni that graduated from political science willing to give back to us. And so I think one of the critical things for our political science majors is to really think about what it is you want to explore and what are current people doing with political science degrees that sound interesting to you. And then they sign up for the same opportunities as all of our other students. And so one of the reasons that we're heading to DC is a lot of our political science majors like to end up there. And so we're going to expose students to some of the opportunities available in the Washington, D.C. area. Last 2 years, the FBI has recruited extremely heavily from our students. We had over, I think 2 years ago, we had about 80 full-time, 68 full-time or internships offered by the FBI to Miami students. So that they love our students here. Let's see. Any other questions? All right, if you have any other questions, certainly feel free to contact us at the Career Center. We are here to help your students and to help you throughout this process. I know that the job internship search is certainly why many of your students come to campus and why you send them here, and we certainly the gravity of that is not lost on us, and we're excited to be here and to help them throughout that process. So if you've got any further questions, feel free to email me. My email is it's heather.chrisman, CHRISTMAN @miamioh.edu. Again, that's heather.chrisman @miamioh.edu. And I would be happy to take any of your questions and answer them as you have them. Wish you all the best, and we look forward to seeing your students soon.